Best of days to everyone here. Today we're going to talk about using a common hand plane. This is probably a 4. Yep. And this has different adjustments on it, so we'll just go over that real quick. This is for your throat, and we'll call that throat, is this plate here on this, and it goes up and down like such. This adjusts the depth of this. It pushes it in or pulls it out. And also you can move this from side to side, and that'll adjust the angle of this as well. So if you're cutting too deep here, move it, pull it up, you know. If you're cutting too deep, period, up. If it's getting jammed a lot, open your throat some. And then next we're going to talk about ways to mark wood. This is like just a marking gauge. You can set it to whatever depth you want, and you'll just, with the flat base, put it on and scrape across the wood in such fashion. You can use a square, a ruler and a square. Bring it up to your wood at whatever depth you want, and then set a pencil here and kind of trace that way as well. This is I think it's called a grovel, and a grommel. It's a grommel marking gauge, and it's got curved on it. It's used in instrument making. So on like a round surface like this, we could still kind of use this and have the same distance the whole time. If we take a negative of the round, you're not gonna really get in there that well. Like, how are you gonna mark that without changing, you know, and causing a pivot? So that's what this guy does with the bevels. It lets you get in there and do a nice smooth marking. And it's also, with this one, it's flat on the back side here, so you can kind of use it as like a, you know, a chisel gauge, part-time chisel, and then go in with your chisel and just clean off on the inside here, and then you're not cutting on the outside for your instruments if you're going to use it for doing like purfling. It's pretty much what it's designed for. So next we're going to talk about, we have 2 different blocks here, and I tried to grab some pretty clean grain so you can see what's going on. And this is uphill, so we ain't gonna get tear out. Let me grab a notebook real quick so I clearly explain this. So this is just an easy demonstration of wood grain. So if I'm pressing down on this book at this angle right here, it's keeping it together, right? And as soon as I do that, it just automatically peels up. And that is the concept of wood grain. So we have these 2 blocks. You can see one is taller than the other. You're gonna run into this, you know, so how am I gonna get these the same size even though they're pretty close already? We're gonna use our plane. So we're gonna set these in our clamp. And we're gonna look at the grains on both of these. So this top one is a little wavy, but you can get by that if you do real light, thin cuts. You can't go too thick. There's a certain thickness you can start taking off and not worry about stripping stuff. So I'm gonna make one side as close as I can to it. Get this in here and get off the chair so I can work proper. And then for using this tool, the direction you put force is pretty much the blade. So I'm not pushing like this, I'm pushing like this with this. And you can walk too and just have that force down that you want. Make it a little tighter. And that's a good cut noise. That's what you want to hear. That means your tool's sharp and you got a nice even piece of wood you're cutting on now, okay? And when you start with a hand plane, you'll just have it right here and you'll be pushing real hard on this front part, because if you don't, the blade will kind of pop up over it. So you want to make sure you got proper force here, and you're just like, this is your pushing hand. Think of it that way, and this is your down force. You push as hard as you can, you know, comfortably with the front while pushing and still pushing down at the rear. There's some dogs that ran out. Okay. Now we have a clean surface here, and we're gonna flip this over. I kind of moved it a little bit. That's all right. There we go. Pinching it together, reseating it in the vise here. Getting it in there. Repeating the same thing. Have our even block. And if you're worried about taking Foursquare away, and what Foursquare is just regardless of the side, you go around it and it should, you know, be squared anywhere you put it. You can take some of that away if you're not used to putting straight flat on the wood. So you can take like something that has a square surface and set it next to your plane like that as a guide, and help you keep this plane nice and straight up and down. A lot of these will have machined square surfaces to be able to set a jig in, just like you would on your table saw or something, you know. You don't really hold the wood at perfect 90 degrees. Something does it for you, and that's with a power tool or a hand tool. So I think that will do for this video here. And anything else? Yep. Till next video, we'll get into just a simple cutting of like a dovetail joint and how to fit it proper size, like in the hand. I'm not going to do too much of that stuff here with you guys. H Carpenter, I put a link on there. He does a really good job. He's a timber framer from Japan, and they're awesome in joinery. So till next time.